Orange Bowl in 1940 turned out to be 1942, New Year's Day, but the 41 team got there. It was Georgia's first bowl team, and there had been a lot of, I understand from researching, interest in Georgia getting to a bowl. Never had been, and it was everything the town wanted. What was the excitement like when you got the news that Georgia was going to the Orange Bowl?
Well, we had just played Tech and beat them soundly, 21-0, and I think Coach Butts knew if we beat Tech, we were going to go to the bowl game, but he didn't tell us. He didn't tell us, and he apologized for not telling us before he accepted the bowl game. Now, you got to understand that this was a big deal for him. He was just 2 years out of high school coaching, and at that time there were only 4 bowls: the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl, and that's all the bowls there were. And the Eastern sports writers delivered people to the Rose Bowl that honestly didn't deserve to be there. The year after, we played Columbia University, and Columbia University had been to the Rose Bowl the year before, and we beat them. Didn't beat them too bad because officials called all our touchdowns back, but we beat them handily. It was a great feeling to go down there to Miami and play in that bowl game.
What do you think that meant to Georgia's program?
Had the war not come along, I think it would have meant a whole lot to Georgia's program. The war came along, and Coach Butts insisted on playing nobody but high school freshmen and 4F people, and Tech, nearly all the colleges that played football had some kind of Air Force or Navy school there, and had players from all over the country, including the University of Georgia had a naval training school here, and they had people from all over the country. Some of them who had still had eligibility left, and some of them who had played out the eligibility, but they were still playing college football. And Coach Butts insisted that those freshmen play a regular schedule, and he didn't do well with it in 43 and 44 because he really didn't have an experienced team.
The Orange Bowl game, Georgia won 40-26. Coach Butts later said that may have been the best offensive performance, single performance of any of his teams. What do you remember about the game? You thoroughly dominated TCU.
Well, yeah, the score at the half was 33-7, and Frank Sinkwich had a great day that day. He not only ran well, but he passed for at least 3 touchdowns, and the last touchdown we made, he ran for about 40 yards on a pass play that he didn't throw the ball. Which was one of Frank's best plays was, we didn't have a fake pass play, but the sports writers all over the country were saying something about Georgia's fake pass play. We didn't have one. Frank just they'd rush him, and he'd decide he didn't want to throw the ball, and Frank, the best play we had was on best plays that Frank had was on a pass play that he'd get back and fake the pass and take those first 3 steps, and he'd be through the linebackers and they didn't know what was happening.
Well, Coach Bill Hartman always said that to him was the first time that the draw play really was used. It didn't call it the draw, but it turned out to be what we now know as a draw play.
Coach Hartman always said that Frank Sinkwich invented the draw play, but we didn't have a draw play, and he just got. And the pass play, to tell you the honest goodness truth, Frank was not a great passer as Green was and Stafford. You know, he couldn't throw the ball very far. He didn't have the arm to do it. He didn't have the willingness to throw the ball. And the pass play that we threw a lot, we sent both ends down and squared out. Now, you know what happens if you throw that ball short. You're behind 6-0. And Frank knew that, and I honestly think Frank didn't want to throw that pass very much because those ends were not only 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, but then they headed for the sideline, so it was going to be a long pass, and Frank really didn't have a great arm to throw that long pass, but he would get back and he'd draw back like he's going to throw, and all of a sudden he'd take off. And some of the longest runs Frank ever made was on that pass play where he really didn't, I don't think Frank wanted to throw that ball.
But the rules were different back then too. I think you had to be 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage before you threw the ball.
5 yards,
5
yeah.
yards.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't throw it as they do now, like some people just rise up from the center and throw, but...
No, you couldn't do that. And of course, we used a single wing back. We didn't have anybody under the center like the quarterbacks are now. There's like the quarterbacks are in the spread formation, or the whatever they call that offense now, where the quarterback gets back and takes a direct pass before he throws.
Well, you had a pretty good game in the Orange Bowl. Your day was a very successful one. What do you remember about your play?
Coach Butts had put in a play because he knew that Frank Sinkwich was going to cause trouble with whoever we played, and he had scouted. He had gotten pictures, and he knew the safety man on the TCU defense was going to come up fast if Frank, you know, the best play he ran was a trap play, trap block play, and he knew, Coach Butts knew that the safety man was going to come up fast if Frank faked the ball to the fullback and started in. So he put in a pass play, and I was playing blocking back, and on the trap block, I was supposed to do the trap block. And on the pass play, I was still supposed to do the trap block, but I'd turn him loose as soon as I hit him, and the center was to back up and take that guard. And Frank would then drop back and throw the ball to me. Well, when I got out there and saw the ball coming, I caught it and turned around, and there wasn't anybody there. The safety man was up in the line. So I went 60 yards for a touchdown on that pass play. That was part of Frank's big offense that he had. And I think he still has the record for the most yardage gained in the Orange Bowl.
The total offensive record
total
for a
offense,
single player. Individual record, that is true. It's still an Orange Bowl record.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the best game you ever played? The Orange Bowl?
No, I think maybe the best game I ever played was against Tech, the last in Atlanta. I was pleased to play on that team because not only was it an outstanding offensive team, that team was a heck of a defensive team. And in that game, I intercepted 2 passes, and I will say this, Bobby Dodd was not the head coach, and Coach Alexander was still the head coach. And Coach Alexander he had a real good guard that just wasn't going to let Sinkwich gain on that trap play, and Frank didn't outgain Tech, but he did outthrow Tech by far. He threw 3 touchdowns in that play, but they stopped our running offense fairly well. But I thought that was the best game I played. Incidentally, I played for 58 minutes in that game, and Frank did too. We both went out with about 2 minutes left to play.